What's happening?
How we doing, everyone? What's up? What's up?
It's
What's
good.
up, Coach?
Man, rocking and rolling. Thank you guys for tuning in. Want to just kind of set the stage as you guys are joining us here on our weekly growth call. Mr. John Harp and myself, and we really have unpacked really from what John was able to do with the team in Columbus, being able to build their business predominantly from internet buyer side, and typically, that attracts typically newer agents. So being able to bring newer agents into the business, but being able to have a blueprint, if you will, to get them into production. That's, I think, the hallmark of any great team. And if you're an agent listening in and going to join a team, it's, hey, how quick can you guys get me to the closing table? And it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna lay out the framework for you. I'm gonna lay out the process, and then it's going to really depend upon you. And so then what that framework looks like and how we have kind of structured each month with these growth calls is that the very first week we go through the whole launch itself and talk about the business pillars and where the business is going to come from, what your goals are, KPIs, and then where we're at today, the second week, which is the second part, which is the fast track, which is that daily accountability, creating those daily wins. What are the handful of things within my control that don't cost any money, that if I do it consistently over time will produce, a percentage of the results we want. And then the third week, the third step of the blueprint is value, right? Being able to know what your value is, but then more importantly, being able to articulate your value. So we'll cover that on the next session. And so, man, there's just so much to unpack for each of them. So that's why we roll every month over the same, first, second, third. That fourth week, we like to have somebody on talking about their success with it. And then if we get that fifth magical week, we dive into a little Q&A. And so here we are, second week. So fast track it. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to kick this call off with I've been diving into, and it's funny, John, I told you at the last kitchen table that I was only reading one book this year, right? Until I really got in, dialed into Hermosi and his offers platform, right? And I can tell you I have gone against that. And the reason I've gone against that, because Gary Vee came out with his new book called Day Trading Attention, which I believe go hand in, my excuse is it goes hand in hand,
yeah,
right?
They do go hand in hand. Yes.
So I say that because, we're going to dive into fast track. And I had this conversation a little bit earlier this morning on my accountability call that I do at 7 a.m. And it was explained and articulated beautifully by another agent that's on my team. And I'll get to that in a second. But in Gary Vee's new book, at the very beginning, he basically challenges the reader and says, why is everyone a no person and not a maybe person?
Yeah.
And so what we're going to talk about today is like what you need to do day in and day out, right? And some of you may be watching this now, some of you may be watching this in the future, and they're like, nah, I don't want to do that. But why can't you say maybe? Maybe I want to do that, right? And the whole maybe, the answering with the maybe is so that it gives you time to digest it, to research it, to look into it, to then make an educated decision on a yes or a no. Mm-hmm. Right. And in the book, and I've heard him talk on podcasts and things like that, he's like, sometimes I think about all of those meetings I said no to that could have been something great. Like, we don't know. We said no to them, like instantly. Nope, not interested. Right. We're in sales, right? How many times do buyers or sellers, when we're calling people, talking to people, like, no, not interested? How many times do you do that on a sales call? If you get a sales call, or, we say on here, book a free call. Nope, not interested. Well, why? Maybe, right? Just, stay open-minded with the maybe, because I can tell you, for our team, there's a lot of times and things that have happened over the course of the 13 years that Ryan and I have been building this team together, that It's because we said yes to things that we necessarily either didn't want to do, didn't want to go to, didn't have the money to go to it, right? Ryan talks all the time about joining, your guys' mastermind back in the day. He didn't have the $30,000 to be a part of that program in the very beginning.
Right.
But the credit card, right? Swipe it and we'll figure it out. And then that has led to many and many and many and many relationships, conversations, ideas, systems, insights, and knowing things ahead of time on new technologies and platforms and all of these things, because it was a maybe, right? That turned into a yes. And I bring that up because one of our agents today, was talking about, we were talking about, the mindset of a real estate agent, right? And as a team lead, my job is to bring more agents to my team, right? And to train agents and to make them into greater agents. And, what do agents want? And Devin on the team, shout out to Devin. He said, we all want closings, right?
Yes.
We all want showings. He said, until I truly understood what I absolutely have to do, what I need to be doing to get the showings and the closings, it never was going to happen. If I only focused on showings and closings, and I didn't focus on what I needed to do to get to that point, it never was. I just spun in circles, right? And one of the things that helped him dissect this was Zillow is very analytical and data driven. And so, they use a funnel, and we talk about top funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, right? And so top of funnel metrics, Zillow tells you green, you're good. Yellow, you're okay. You're marginal. Red, you suck, right? Based off of what they know is true. In order to go from an appointment set to a met with, to a showing homes, to an offer, to a closing, they have to hit these metrics.
Yeah.
And he said, until I changed my mindset around, I need to be doing this in order to get that. And I bring all of that up because what we're going to talk about are the needs, right? The things that we need to be doing day in and day out within Fast Track. And I want you guys to just stay open-minded, right? Say maybe instead of a no today, right? Because what we're going to talk about is the lifeline to your business. Like nothing else truly matters other than prospecting and lead generating.
That's it.
And I've talked to you about this before. Like, why do we need more? Why do we have to go out, like as humans, right? Why do I need to be doing more? Why do I have to do social media? Why do I have to learn Canva, right? Why do I need to do AI? Why do I, right? All of these other things that we think we need to be doing that we don't actually need to be doing if we're actually focusing on lead generation and prospecting. I think those other things can enhance what we do, right? But there's a lot of successful agents out there that aren't on social media as influencers, right? There's a lot of successful agents out there that don't understand AI technology. There are a lot of successful agents out there that aren't spending 3 hours a day for the first 3 weeks of their real estate career trying to figure out the right logo for them.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we're going to talk about is our lists, right? Who do we need to be staying in front of? How do we identify those people, right? How do we organize them? And then what's the day-to-day that we're going to be focusing on? And this is what I help, coach agents on, not just on my team, but, in my marketplace and across the country is figuring out the prospecting side, the lead generation side, the needs side. If we can handle the needs side, you're going to get whatever you want.
Yeah, 1000%, man. It, every room I go into, right, I always get a gauge of, time in business, but I also get a gauge of where they feel they're stuck the most, right? And it can only be one of the three things, right? Traffic, conversion, fulfillment. And fulfillment is never typically an issue. Very, very few say it's conversion. For the most part, it's more traffic, more demand is what's missing. And my growth score is probably one of the better business assessments that anybody can take for their business, and being able to go through that, and it'll clearly show you, what is, and most of the time, almost all the time, man, it is more demand. And it's like, well, I need more cash, I need more capital. Well, you need more demand, you need more people. And so your whole energy and effort and focus has got to be around that, right? So you talked about Hermosi, $100 million offers. I think, you stack that with his $100 million leads, and then now you stack it with Gary V's day trading attention, and you go all in to cover of that core four. You cover his, the warm audience, one to many, right? Social media. And the agents that I'm seeing that are having great success right now, and talked about this a little bit earlier today, there's a bigger divide of those doing very well and those, I don't know where my next deal is coming from. And those that are doing very well, obviously they have a great offer. They've been very consistent with sales and marketing. They've been very consistent with their output, and you have a whole framework that they can follow after to be consistent, well, what's my metrics, man? How do I stay consistent with it? And that's really what the fast track is all about. But social media, having a cold outreach strategy, working your people that know you, like you, love you, trust you, staying top of mind, aware with them, being able to find a fun way to be able to pull referrals and opportunities from them. So it's understanding, the buckets, and kind of what we talked about, last week is, okay, well, where is my focus? What are my oil wells? Where am I going deep with? And then, okay, how am I doing the things within my control on a consistent basis? And that's where this second part connects and they work together.
Yeah. And the second part too is designed, to a lot of agents wake up and they don't know where their business is coming from. They don't know where to focus their attention. Right. And so then what happens is they start their day a little bit later. They get into the office a little bit later. Right. They end up prospecting a little bit later or not at all. Right. Yeah. And so this whole thing came about actually from, when my wife was doing a little bit of network marketing on the side, and they sent her a 90-day success plan book for her to follow to be successful doing the network marketing stuff. And I was like, man, if what I've learned is from you guys is to look at other industries and apply it to real estate. I'm like, damn, if this can get someone up to speed for not really knowing products and things like that, right, within 90 days, and they have it mapped out, we can do the same thing on the real estate side. And so I started to think about, if I was to start over in real estate, how would I want to structure my day, right? How would I, if I had no capital, right, what would I need to be focusing on in order to get the attention of my database? And I'll use database as just a general term. I don't care if it's your sphere, social media, doesn't matter to me, contacts list, whatever. And it comes down to, how do I get people to know me, like me, and then trust me, right? And so, the daily success plan, which is what you would follow. Like I always tell agents, your day shouldn't start until this is printed off. This should be like, you get into the office, maybe you walk down to your home office, right? You sit down, you print this off. Now you're ready to rock and roll. You don't have to think about it. But the first three things that we're going to do is we're going to sit down and figure out what our goals are for today. And goals for today is different than your to-do list for today. Yeah. Goals for today are defined in, if I get these done, I can say I had a successful day.
How did I win the day? How do I win the day?
No matter if you got the results or not, right? Back to what you said, what's within our control, right? What's our efforts? Maybe I only got, because we're not going to be perfect, right? The whole point is discipline, right? The more successful people in our industry are just more disciplined than the average agent, right? Than the average person. But even if you hit one of these three goals, you're still successful, right? It's not a to-do list. It's a success list. So what are the three goals you want to do today? Each one of those goals equals 1 point, right? We're talking about tracking and understanding, gamifying what we do. 1 hour of training, reading, podcast, whatever that is, watching a YouTube video, jumping on one of these calls, doesn't matter to me, but I habit stacked. If you guys, read Atomic Habits, one of those things in there is habit stack. So for me, I do a training every single day, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And the reason why I did it at that time slot is back when I was selling real estate, I always did my training 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I always watched YouTube videos at that time. Whether it's Eric Thomas, I followed Joshua Smith, GSD mode back in the day. Real Geeks, they had a website. I don't know if they still do or not. Well, the founder of Real Geeks was interviewing top agents across the country. And so that was my form of training. But what that did for me was it allowed me to go right into prospecting mode at 9 a.m. And I was on a training last week with Wally, and I love it because Wally brought up a training that just slipped my mind. Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jordan Belfort says 3 things, right? You got to be sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and speak with authority.
Yeah.
Right. And so if your mind's not right when you're getting ready into prospecting mode, you're not going to be effective and efficient, right? It's just not going to work. You might as well not even prospect that day. If you're not sharp as a tack, right, enthusiastic as hell, and speak with authority, don't even bother prospecting, in my opinion. So training and habit stacking, training to prospecting allowed me to get my day going, right? So 1 hour training, that's a half of a point, right? I believe we should be doing it every single day, 1 hour a day. 5 direct messages, right? So now we're moving into the social media side of our day. And here's the great thing. Everything that we're going to talk about today is free to you. There's no expense to you. 5 direct messages a day, 15 comments per day.
Engagement.
I took this from 2 people. Ryan Stewman's 30 by 30 strategy that he built his business originally back in the day with social media on, and Gary V's $1.80 strategy, right?
Yes.
Stewman's was 1 post on one's wall and 1 DM, I believe, for those 3 things for the 30 days. Now that was back like mid 2000s when social media started becoming a thing, 2000, I think 9, 10, somewhere in that range. Gary V's strategy is $1.80. Leave your 2 cents comments on 90 different posts every single day. Yeah. Right. And what that does for you is it creates engagement. It creates you becoming known amongst the people that you follow or follow you. And so what that allows us to do when we then start posting real estate stuff, documenting our day, now your stuff's going to start showing up in front of them.
Yes.
Right. So each direct message that you do is 1 point, and each comment that you do is half of a point. Is everyone following so far? And so now it's the next phase. Great. I'm DMing, I'm commenting, right? Now, what do I post? I believe we all can be posting 3 times a day. Depending on the content and what you're doing, that number could easily be a lot more. But for me, 3 social media posts is 1 post around a hobby and interests, something that you enjoy. If you love cooking, post about cooking, right? Post about, the meal you're going to make tonight or whatever the case may be. Because one of the things that we're going to hit on is affinity. It's funny. I did a training today for people around, what you guys taught on trust-based marketing, the 10 things that build trust. Affinity is one of those. Affinity is, what do we have in common?
Yeah.
Right. Shared experience. And so if we're talking and posting about things that we are interested in, guess what? We're going to find others that are also interested in that. And I would challenge you to get into those Facebook groups around those hobbies and interests, right? And start networking and commenting within those groups. The second thing that we're going to post about is 1 thing about real estate. You got to document your day, right? It doesn't have to be a just listed, just sold, in contract post. Anything that you do in real estate, you can document it, right? You could easily make a post about this call, right? 1 takeaway. When I started my video journey of doing videos, I used my 8 a.m. training session as a reason for me to create 1 video. Mm-hmm. And the video was 1 takeaway that I learned from that training call.
Yeah.
That's it. Just 1 takeaway, right? And it could have been a 30-minute video, or it could be a 5-minute video of me rambling. but I documented it. And I have this rule. I have a private Facebook group for real estate agents and builder reps in my market. And, I scan through everyone's profile to make sure that they're not a contractor, a lender, right? That they're truly a real estate agent or a new build rep. And it's a 3 scroll rule, right? If I check your profile and I scroll 3 times with my thumb and I don't see anything in real estate, I'm going to start questioning, right? Are you really a real estate agent? Right? So think about that for you guys, right? Like when someone scrolls your profile, do they know that you sell real estate? Now, you don't have to post real estate all day, every day, right? Because they're going to see some of the other things that you enjoy doing by your posts, right?
Yeah.
The third post that you can do is something personal, right? Maybe it's time with family, your dog, what, going on a walk, whatever the case may be. Now, for me, I just post a lot of business things. Lately, obviously, seeing a little bit more of the baby because, he's a month old at this point, and now that's a big thing in my life. But before that, it was straight, hobbies and interests and business. That's me. Not everyone's like that. So each social media post is 1 point. And so when you think about social media in general, I took this from a Gary Vee podcast, and this is why it all started to make sense for me. He's like, it's called social media for a reason. You have to be social. You have to engage and interact with people. And when you DM people, when you comment, right? When you share stories, when you comment on stories, when you swipe up on, like, all of those things help the algorithm, right? It also allows you to engage with people that maybe you haven't spoken with in a long time. Maybe it's the icebreaker to a conversation. Use social media as a tool. This is something that I learned from an agent that I coach who built his business through Facebook, right? And I'm helping him build a team. In the meantime of our conversations, he taught me how to leverage social media to build business, right? And the next thing that I'm going to come back to that in a second, but the next thing that you can do every single day is one handwritten note and gather one address.
Right.
Every agent in our marketplace wants to build their business through their sphere of influence. It has to be a component. Even if you are a leads dominant agent like me, you still want the SOI and past client database building and coming back to you, right? That's just help building a healthy business. So one handwritten note, gathering one address, that's giving you the ability to send out invites to client appreciation parties, right? Just doing a letter to check in. How many times, I always ask this to agents, how many times do you get a handwritten note in the mail?
Yeah.
One says not often, right?
Yeah.
Birthdays, Christmas, maybe, right? Back to social media and using it as a tool. You have 3 options when someone makes a post. You can respond in a comment. You can respond in a DM. I guess you don't have 3 options. You could respond in a comment. You could respond in a DM. You could text that person. You could call that person. You could email that person, or you could do a handwritten note. So if they're posting about maybe a new job, maybe that's a comment. Maybe it's a DM, or you can use as a great opportunity to do a handwritten note to someone. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You could just say, hey, John, saw on Facebook the other day that you are celebrating a new job that you just took on, wanted to wish you all the best of luck in the world, right? Hope all is well, right? It could be short and sweet. And I struggled with that. I had to ask Mike. I said, I had to call him the first time I ever did a handwritten note. I said, Mike, how do I start this thing? I don't even know what to say.
Right.
He's like, bro, you're overthinking it, right? And
yeah,
so
1000%.
one of the things that my VA did for me a couple years ago was she monitored my news feed. She told me if someone posted about an animal passing away. She told me about someone that was celebrating a kid graduating high school. She let me know of all of these life. Our news feed is full of life events. If someone is posting about it on social media to let the world know, they're probably excited about it. How do you want to respond to it, right? Do you just want to be another comment of the 30? Or do you want to be one of 2 DMs that they get? maybe one-of-one text messages they get on that, right? A
Yeah.
handwritten note. And so one handwritten note, one address is 1 point. And then phone calls, right? I'm a believer in phone calls. 2 calls to your SOI every day. Or if you are on a leads team or doing leads, a minimum of 25 database calls. Now, the 2 calls to your SOI, each call is 1.5 points because those are going to be a little bit more impactful, meaningful conversations, right? You know, it's not some stranger that you're typically reaching out to. If you do all 25 database calls, you're going to get 3 points for that. And so with what we just went through, that is the point system, 23 points per day.
Gotcha.
So how do you score out of 23 day in and day out? And so that was the original daily success plan within Fast Track, right? And then through conversation and talking to agents and, you know, talking to you, and what we talk about is what's the, you know, our goal as real estate agents is conversations lead to face-to-face appointments.
That's right.
Right. And so I had to add in a bonus, right? I think of school, right? You know, those bonus questions that we get bonus points for. And the bonus is if you actually go on a face-to-face appointment that day. So if you go on a face-to-face appointment that day, that's a bonus of 5 points, right? So max, you could get 28 points out of 23. But how awesome would that be is if you could go on 2, 3, 4 face-to-face appointments every single week. We all know our business would be great, right? And so
Yes.
I added that in as a bonus because that's what we all should be working towards, right? That should be the reward. That should be the bonus. And so that's what makes up the daily success plan. And that's what takes away a lot of the question marks around what do I need to do today?
Yeah.
That's where a lot of agents struggle. That's why we don't have discipline, right? Part of the reason, I shouldn't say part of the reason, one of the few reasons why I don't go to the gym is because I don't even know what to do. I don't know what arm workouts to do. I don't know what leg workouts. I don't know what days should be, right? Biceps, triceps. And, you know, so like for me, I just don't go, right? You know, like John, if you were going to, you know, start, you know, if you were, you know, you run, right? Like if you don't know even where to start, you're not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
You need a
More
guide, you need a
resistance.
playbook.
Yeah. You need as least amount of resistance as possible.
And so this is that for you, right? Like this should all, if you do this consistently, this will allow you to scale up your business. And let's just say, hey, I you know, I want to do more. Cool.
Right.
Just double everything on this list, right? 23 points becomes 46 points, right? Just double the activities, triple the activities, you know, whatever you want to do. But this is that guide. This is the removing of what to focus on today.
Yeah. I love it. It gives you know, that daily, I don't have to think about it, print it out, you know, whatever works for you, and then just execute on it, and then just keep track of the points. Where do you kind of have seen with agents that they hesitate or they struggle with the most when it comes to this, to the Fast Track?
Definitely social media posts. You know, a lot of people are scared of the camera. A lot of people self-limiting beliefs on they don't have enough to post, right? To talk about, no one cares, you know, those types of things. And then the handwritten notes, I think, are tough for some people. Gathering an address, I think, is tough for people. And like I said, that was me. But then once someone explained it to me, right? Someone's like, well, how do I get someone's address? Well, there's a couple ways, right? You could go on social media, see kind of where they live, go to the auditor's website, type their name in, figure it out. There's another resource called voterrecords.org, I believe. I think it's .org. So if they are a voter, right, if they're registered to vote, and that website will pull up certain states. And so now you can kind of cross-reference, right? They're not always exact, but you can, okay, if they're registered here and this is their address, maybe I go to that auditor's website, right, and pull, you know, that. And then the straight up way is like I literally just reach out and I just say, you know, hey, John.
What's your address?
Yeah. Hey, John, you know, one of the things I'm doing a little bit more of this year is doing client events and events for my sphere of influence and family. And I would just love to keep you on the list to invite you to anything I do in the future. right? What's the best address so I can send you some of these invites? Most people want to be invited to something, even if they're not going to go.
Right.
And again, another thing I learned from the network marketing space, right? As a real estate agent, right? How many times are you inviting your clients to something? It's not the actual event.
It's the invite that matters.
The invite.
Yeah.
Right. For every one event, you can probably talk to your client 4 to 5 times. How much business can you do if you actually did 4 or 5 events a year?
Right.
And you had a database of 100.
You see who's showing up too, right? So you really start to segment out even more to who's bubbling up your top clients, which I believe a list that everybody should have, right? You should be on, immediately say, hey, who's our top 20 clients, and have a framework of how you determine, what they are. And so like we carried over from the real estate side on the coaching side, we're looking to create legends, which in real estate was raving fans. And then we had advocates, we call them fanatics. So fanatics are somebody, you got 4 potential buckets, right? You've got somebody that's done business with you and that's it, right? No, nothing else. No, nothing. You've got somebody that has given you a couple of extra things, meaning they've transacted with you. They've, maybe they've given you a 10 on the net promoter score. Maybe you got a fanatic who's referred people to you. They would give you a shout out. They give you lots of love, but they've never done business with you. Yeah. And then you've got those raving fans. And those are the ones that have done business with you. They've referred people. They've given you a 10 on the net promoter score. They've given you a testimonial. They've given you a review. They check all the boxes. They become that raving fan. And essentially, when you look on the customer journey, you ascend them up to where they're advocates for your business and then ultimately becoming a promoter. And so they're out there in the streets promoting you. And those promoters, those raving fans or those fanatics, those are the people that you need to be really aware of. And, then you're like, well, how do you segment them out from there? We just did it based upon like revenue, like how much dollars did you spend with this, and how much dollars did you refer over to us, and kind of will be the shifting factor of really who your top clients are. So you can say, hey John, let's reach out to how many Raven fans do we have? We have 47. Great. Let's reach out to our 47 Raven fans, and let's throw down a barbecue next weekend and invite them out to come out and join us. There you go. Wow. Boom.
And those are, not necessarily face-to-face appointments, right? But those are opportunities that could lead to a more intentional face-to-face appointment, right? And I think that's one of the things that, maybe we're missing on. The one great thing about an event like that is either they've already done business with you, or they're probably going to be doing business with you. Maybe they referred you something that they haven't bought through you yet, or sold through you yet, or whatever the case may be. But think about all of the people that we know that already own a home or have bought a home through us. Maybe they haven't bought through us, but they own a home, right? We talked about this with our team maybe a month and a half ago. How many deals are within our database that we can go and generate, meaning investment opportunities? Hey, you're sitting on, 50, 60, 80, $100,000+ in equity. Have you ever thought about buying an investment property and building wealth outside of your work? Right. And some people that answer is no, because it's like me, right? Going to the gym. I don't know what to focus on. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do, And so they like the idea of it, but they just never execute on it because they don't know. Right. So how many people within your database already are sitting on a ton of equity, but because you haven't asked them yet, hey, have you thought about investing in real estate, that they haven't reached out to you either? Right. Could you go manufacture another 3 to 6 transactions this year of people that just have equity?
Right.
And so the other thing that we talk about on Fast Track is the list, right? And you kind of mentioned, right, Raving Fans list and all those things. Your lists are important, right? The big list that I focus on is your sphere of influence list, building that out, right? Ninja Selling says for every one person on your SOI list equals 1,000 in real estate dollars to you every single year. Every one person that we help knows 4 people that are going to do something within real estate that year.
Yeah.
Are you asking for referrals, right? So your SOI list is not just a list of like, oh, I need to reach out to this person, right?
Yeah.
Those are, you can put dollar signs next to that. That's real.
Right.
You got 100 people. There's $100,000 sitting right there, and the opportunity of that one person knowing 4 people that would do something in real estate that calendar year.
Right.
So for every one person, right? The average person lives in a house, what, 7, 8 years? For every one person, they know 4 people before they ever decide to do something again in real estate, typically.
Right.
And so that's where this gets exciting. And then the other 2 lists are your top 50 list and your hot list. And your top 50 list are the people that we have spoken with, that we have identified, that have raised their hand and said, hey, John, I'm looking to do something in real estate. It's not right now, but it's within the next 18 months, year and a half, right? That's kind of just been my kind of line in the sand, right? If you're going to do something in the next year and a half, I need to put you on a different list. And so that's my top 50 list. And the idea is that's more of your middle of the funnel, right? Your sphere of influence is more top of funnel. Your database is more top of funnel. Cool, right? We're prospecting, we're lead generating, we're having conversations. They identified, I'm looking to do something. Okay, great. That goes into my top 50 list. And of your top 50 list, they're then going to go to your hot list. And your hot list is the bottom of the funnel, the now business, the people that are looking to do something in the next, 2, 3, 4 months, right? Max, 4 months max. They go on that hot list. And as you go through this process, there's going to be people on your SOI list that never send you business, right? That never do something with you. There's going to be people on your top 50 list that decide to work with another agent, fall off the face of the earth. Their situation changes, so they're not going to do anything anymore. Their timeline changes. Maybe they told you 12 months, and now they got pushed back another 12 months. And then there's going to be people that do decide to work with you, right? So that top 50 list, the more you have on it, the more closings you're going to have out of the hot list. Yeah, same thing with the hot list. You're going to lose some people with the hot list, but once you get them to the hot side, you're probably going to convert the majority of those people. So if you have 10 people on your hot list, you probably should be somewhere around 7 to 8 of those actually turn into something if you're doing the right steps in the right order that we talk about with consultations and all of those things, right? And so the more people you have in your database, the more people you'll have on your top 50 list, and then the more people you have on the hot list, which would then mean more closings that you got.
1,000%, man. And that's what you got to constantly be working through, right? Like who's doing something in, now, right? Like who can I help make a decision this week, right? Who's doing something, right? That just get them in that, kind of in that red zone area that we're just so focused on. And then, building out that next, probably beyond, it'd be great, right? I think, who's doing something in the next 90 days on that hot list. And then who's beyond 90 days. What would be great is that, wow, now I'm in, okay, who's doing something the next 30 days, right? That's who I've got to focus on, touch on these others, and then, go to that point, but constantly looking at it. And, the little trick for us was always, what is that dollar amount worth, right? If you help them make a decision getting into a home or selling their home, how much money is that to you, right? That tends to be how to help filter things up, and it also tends to be a little bit of a external motivation when we need it, right? We see 100%. Damn, okay, I got some money right there, let's go get it.
Yeah, 100%. This isn't the one good thing about this is obviously there's skills that will be involved in some of this, right? How to reach out to people, all of those things, but this is effort, right? Yeah. This is just whether or not you do it.
That's it, man. That really is. I mean, everything on here, right? It's all effort. And that's the scary part for some people, but it really is. I mean, it's just effort. It's just like, these are the things that you need to do. And if you stay consistent with it, the success is going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. Well, guys, listening in, if you want a copy of this or struggle with this, just jump on a call, sevenfigurecall.com, jump on a call with us. We'll help you guys get clear, unpack, the bigger picture, the business, what do you need to be focused on, now, what you need to be doing in the next 90 days, and, what you're going to commit to, weekly to execute on a daily basis to be able to rock this out and really make it happen.
Book a call. Be a maybe. Don't be a no.
I love that. So good. So good. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Great as always. You guys listening in. We'll catch you guys next time. Remember, just following the growth series. We'll talk value on the next call. But like John said, if you have any questions, need anything, be a maybe, get on a call, 7figurecall.com, and we will see you guys next time. Later. See you, bud.
Yeah.